Hi, this is Reasons Are Several, episode number 186. My name is Matt, and today filling in for Neil is a special guest, Chris. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing very well, Matt. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Chris has a couple of podcasts, including one couples podcast, which is called How Was Your Week, Motherfucker? Oh, wait. That's the Neil version.
Right.
How Was Your Week, Honey is the name of that show.
Sorry, funny story about the How Was Your Week, Motherfucker? I just got into this conversation with Kristen the other day, and I said to her, I don't think I asked Neil's permission to use that cut from their show. And I was positive I had. I know I typed out the email or the DM to say, I was going to do this little thing. It's kind of funny. I hope you don't mind. But I don't think I ever sent it to him. So, Neil, I'd just like to take this opportunity right now to apologize for using your voice without your consent.
He's so vain. He wants his voice everywhere. Are you kidding me? You heard the time, I think, when they had their anniversary episode and I spliced together a whole conversation with him with bits that he never, yeah. So see, I manipulate that shit all the time. It doesn't matter.
Nice.
So anyway, yes, you mentioned Kristen, your wife. That is your co-host for your show, How Was Your Week, Honey, which is an awesome show. If you have not listened to it, it's a great show. You want to elaborate on that a little bit and tell people how they can find that show?
It is How Was Your Week, Honey. It's a podcast that I do with my wife. We just get together every week. I think what makes us a little different than some of the couples podcasts, because, it's kind of all the rage right now. There's a ton of them out there, and certainly your co-host and his wife, Annalise, do a great one. Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, but for us, we're parents too, and we're kind of feeling our way through parenthood, so a lot of that sort of comes into our show, and it's other than that, it's just the two of us getting together each week to hang out, because as a lot of families know, there's not a lot of time, and so we don't really spend the time to catch up, so that's what we do, and then we put it out for the public to hear.
And you're also very Canadian, so it's an extremely apologetic podcast.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry. You also have another show, which is called Our Liner Notes. It's a music podcast that we actually just recorded, which will be out in a few weeks. And I've been on before. I'm trying to remember. I think I was on. I looked it up. It's episode 49. I believe I was on before, which was all about Manchester.
Yes. And
Neil has also been on the show. I can't. He brought Bon Jovi, didn't he?
Of course he did.
Oh man, so predictable. But how do people find Our Liner Notes?
Our Liner Notes, you can reach us at OLinerNotes on the Twitter, or you can email us olinernotes@gmail.com. As for the show itself, it's on all iTunes, Stitcher, and your usual podcatcher places. Yes. I was interested in having Neil on for the new mixtape editions that we've been doing, which we just recorded. But I was trying to figure out how he would work in 9 Bon Jovi songs to each of the select questions.
He'll find a way. Well, there'll be some crew in there too, because he's got the Nikki Sixx thing going. So he'll have a bunch of different things to sample. So yeah, definitely go check out those two shows if you haven't. Chris is a great host, and I don't want to sound self-congratulatory when I say this, but I've actually had somebody, and I can't remember who, tell me that they think you and I have similar hosting styles.
Interesting. I will take that as a high compliment, sir.
Well, thank you. I think you're more organized, but I think what happens is that you and I think, have a kind of a plan. We're both guys who have like notes that, points we want to hit on, and then we have co-hosts who try to derail us from those things.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So in that sense, we play at least a similar role.
And I do a lot of mansplaining, apparently.
Well, that, and you also say, just a minute, we'll get to that. Like, it's not, I haven't hit that point in my notes yet.
It's funny because actually Kristen and I will get into arguments off air, and they're small arguments, but I'm like, where are you going with this? We haven't finished this yet, and you're already over there. Right. Please, just rein it back in.
Right. It's funny because there's times where I'm editing our show. I do some quick minor edits, and I'll hear something where I'm like, I didn't even hear Neil say that, because I was so focused on like moving on to the next thing. And he slips in some funny comment, and I'm like, oh, that was actually pretty funny. Dang it, I missed it.
Yeah, see, you're lucky you're not married to your co-host, because I get a lot of, you never listen to me.
Oh, someday we might be married. Who knows?
Right.
For us, you can find us on Twitter at ReasonsAre. Neil is at AngelsFreak7. How do you feel, by the way? Just today, they upped the character limit on Twitter. They doubled it. It's now 280 characters. How do you feel about that?
That's a lot of extra pressure.
Is it a lot of extra pressure, or is it less pressure because now you can say whatever you want without having to like be all cutesy and put like the letter 4 for the word for and shit like that, where you have, you know what I mean, have to get creative?
Yeah, but I just lost my excuse for my shitty grammar.
No, that's true.
I don't know. I guess it's fine. I mean, you'll be able to write longer tweets, and Trump won't have to do so many ... tweets anymore.
1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Yeah.
It's all right. I just heard about it today, and I've expressed this before. Me and Twitter, I have a hard time with Twitter. I enjoy it, and I'm glad I found it. I'm actually kind of disappointed that it took me as long as it did to get to it. I've certainly met a lot of great people and interacted, and as far as podcasting goes, I mean, Twitter is absolutely integral
Critical.
right, to doing this. But I'm also a bit of an old man, and I'm still trying to work out the nuances there. I mean, I look at guys like yourself or Carl Landra from the Fourth Line podcast. You guys are amazing Twitter guys. Like your comebacks are quick. I always get a laugh off half your tweets. I say things, and then Kristen will come to me like, "What are you trying to say there?"
It's a learned art form, that's for sure. I mean, I was never a Facebook guy or anything like that. I barely have any sort of representation there. So Twitter is kind of my thing. I mean, from the banter standpoint, but also just from a news standpoint. That's the way I find out when stuff breaks and stuff happens, even though sometimes you get it in a weird, shitty way that it's dished up. But for me, the 280 characters is like, it's fine. I mean, so many people were starting to use that thing where like they'd write something and then take a snapshot of it so they could post the whole thing, or they have images that are gigantic and all that stuff. So having some extra text, it doesn't really bother me. And like you said, there's certain people where they want to say like a few things, and they're breaking it up into like 6 different tweets. Well, now they don't have to do it, in as many tweets. Now it's only 3 tweets.
Right.
So, fine with me. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I mean, if they go to like 500, yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Well, then it's just Facebook, isn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. No limit. You got to have some limit. So, but it is quite a change because they haven't changed since they started. I mean, this is a huge jump for them. So the only time I have any struggles with it is like if I'm posting a new episode link, the link takes up a lot of characters, so that just eats up a lot of what you're trying to say. And then you're trying to smush everything into a compact little statement. Other than that, you don't need more than 140 characters for stuff,
Not really. Or the other time is when you're trying to at so many people. So if you have like 10 people you're trying to put in a tweet, and then I've got no room left for somebody to say, but
that's where you got to drop an image in there, because the image you can add people, you can tag people on the image, and it doesn't take up any space.
See, this is why I talk to guys like you, because now I just learned something completely new. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's just a gimmick of Twitter. I have heard or read things that says that Twitter's popularity has been falling, or it's not where it should be projected, and this just might be one of those things that they've figured out in order to to gain a few new people on board.
I can't remember if it's waning or if they just haven't had any growth, like if it's just pretty flat.
Yes,
I think that's what it is. It's more that they're just not growing like they were before. But it's like, well, you have to remember that you grew and grew and grew. There's only so many people, and not everybody has 10 accounts. so you're not going to continue to grow at that rate eventually because there's so many people already on your, on your platform. But I don't know. To me, it's still, like you said, a kind of a vital piece of podcasting and communicating with kind of that community. So I, continue to use it all the time. Maybe too much, you could argue.
Right.
Now, you're a huge baseball fan, right?
I actually am. I am a big baseball fan, but again, you mentioned the Canada part. If I'm being fair and honest, I'm a big Blue Jays fan. I've watched that team since I was, 9 years old.
Well, my condolences on Roy Halladay. Very sad. Lost him today.
I was actually doing some work here in the garage, and I got this text from Kristen, and she says, "What you doing?" Busy working, whatever. And she says, I think you should come inside. And so she brought me inside, and she broke the news to me. Now, I know this sounds a little bit dramatic, but Roy Halladay was my favorite baseball player. If you asked me at any time ever in my history of watching baseball, I would have said that Roy Halladay by far was my favorite ball player.
Oh man, this is devastating. That
I know this is terrible.
He's younger than you too. That's always a weird thing, isn't it?
Stop it.
Sorry. Well, not just barely. Just barely.
Right.
Your peers.
But I mean, it's one thing to be a fan, and it is terrible news. But I really feel for his family, had young kids, and that's really the sad part.
Yeah, that's the worst for sure. Well, it's kind of a tough transition from that. I actually didn't mean to bring that up, but it just happened. To the story I was going to tell you, which is not about death. This is about Gabe Kapler, who was just named the new manager of the Phillies, which is funny because I remember him when he was coming up. And so it was weird to hear that, like, he's the manager? Is he old enough? But he's 42 or whatever, he's of that age that he can. So this is from Deadspin. I'm going to read a little bit of this. The Phillies, this is last week, by the way. The Phillies held a press conference today to introduce Gabe Kapler as the team's new manager. The news of Kapler's hiring had leaked early in the week. The Philadelphia press spent the week analyzing Kapler based on whatever it could find. Both Philly.com and the 700 Level dove deep into Kapler's old blog, caplifestyle.com, where the man who spent 12 years in the majors posts his thoughts on everything from scotch to proper wing eating technique. And both sites noted one particular post that Deadspin covered when it went up in 2014. Gabe Kapler thinks you should jerk off with coconut oil.
Seems reasonable.
The image, which you pointed out to me when I shared the link with you, the image in the story is him holding a champagne bottle and squirting it all over his adoring fans when the Red Sox won the World Series, which paints a lovely picture to go along with this.
This article is rife with euphemisms and fun little phrases to go with the title.
Yeah, exactly. Did you click through to the previous post they reference?
No.
Oh, it's a picture of him with a beer bottle squirting it all over fans. So, yeah, we got it. We got the imagery. Thanks. Here's a little excerpt from the blog. This is crazy, this paragraph. This is him speaking. You're moisturized and smelling tropical. Your teeth are white and your face looks like you've just visited a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon. The sun has set and the moon is out. Perhaps you have a friend nearby. Perhaps it's just you by your lonesome. Well, this is awkward. I've promised you authenticity, honesty, and openness. Take this how you wish, and I'll spare you the step-by-step. Coconut oil is the world's greatest lubricant. I can't help where your mind goes with this. Once the ball leaves the bat, I can't steer it. I just love the stream of consciousness, and then it's like, oh, by the way, coconut oil if you're going to beat off or need some sort of lubricant. Solid take, Gabe.
Oh, he's leading you down the path. I wasn't even going there when I first read, that little excerpt. I thought, well, what does this have to do with? Oh,
He's setting the mood. He's putting the picture in your mind. He's relaxing you. It's almost like some sort of meditation technique right before you get that coconut oil out. So, however, it says in this article, longtime Philadelphia sports talk radio and TV host Howard Eskin was having none of this. And the day before the Phillies announced a new manager, Eskin got himself all ready by jerking a pair of tweets into existence. Tweet number 1. New Phillies manager every day seems to have more come out that's just a little too nutty. How will he lead a team? Jesus Christ. The second tweet, think kids that love to follow Phillies are ready to hear his ideas about use of coconut oil? Baseball is a family sport. Don't think parents are on board with hearing this stuff about their manager? I mean,
really?
You fucking really think people are going to care about that shit?
No.
This guy sounds like an old crotchety bastard.
Okay, so when I read the article, I am not familiar with all the different American sportscasters and sports journalists. So I thought the first thing I should do is look into this Eskin character. And the first thing that pops up is his image, and I'm like, he looks like Colonel Sanders banged a real estate agent.
Oh, boy.
Number one. And number two, he's just a guy. He's just trying to make a name for himself. I don't even know. At least I hope.
My hunch, I think that he has a name, but it's as the dick, the guy who just rubs people the wrong way kind of guy. That's his role. And we have many of those in every city in America. We have one here in Portland that does that. It's just his whole game is just it's almost shock jock mentality. It's just I want to wind people up and get them talking because then they'll read my articles and I'll be relevant. It's fucking annoying.
Did you see there's a link to the video of the interview where he springs the question on Gabe and the general manager?
I didn't see that. I didn't see the video.
Okay, so they're doing the press conference, and he's going into this long-winded variation of basically saying, you said you used to jerk off with coconut oil. Do you think that's appropriate? And you can see him and the team manager staring at their eyes start to narrow, and they're just staring him down. And you can see it's almost like the Rolodex of their mind of the responses that they want to say. Nope, can't say that. Nope, can't call him that. And then they come up with their professional generic response. But
well, and it was funny because I just saw the little bits they pulled from that. So the GM, Matt Clintock, is that how you say it? Clintock? I don't know how you say that. But he said some of the things he said, which of course they threw together just out of context when he's talking about Kapler, are there's an element of risk and new behaviors and trying new things. Boy, oh boy, it's going to be fun. And the other quote was, we're going to embrace a lot of his ideas. So it said, did you hear that? All the Phillies are going to be masturbating with coconut oil next season.
or the final line of the article where it says pitchers and catchers report to training camp next
in 104 days. Yeah, exactly. But I thought it was interesting too because I think maybe 2 episodes ago on How Was Your Week, Honey, you were just talking about how difficult, what a challenge it is for you these days to find the time to be by yourself, to do such things with a busy household and all that. And I just thought maybe coconut oil could help you speed up the process somehow. Perhaps you could use it in some way to get your work in with your limited amount of time.
That or something, or maybe I just need to talk to Gabe. I mean, I don't know if one thing they didn't mention is whether or not his blog's still up or not. So, maybe if I could shoot him an email, he could help me through my issues.
This is all a good idea.
But this goes back to even what the article's talking about. I mean, how ridiculous is it that someone would think that this would be a problem, that this is an issue for a manager of the team? It has nothing to do with, can this ex-player, does he know his X's and O's and should it righty versus lefty and all those kinds of things. I mean, I would think that a guy like this, where, being a manager of a team is as much about working with your players and personalities and those kind of things. I think this guy would be great for that. I mean, you're a 25-year-old ball player. This is probably a guy you could go to about personal issues or things that are going on more than, could you imagine a guy coming in there and saying, I've never jerked off and I don't think anybody should else either?
Right. Well, it's weird because it's a family sport. Like, no kids are going to go looking for this guy's blog and find out about jerking off. And by the way, at some point, those kids got to know about it. So it's an important conversation. Maybe he's helping you. Maybe Gabe Kapler is, somehow facilitating that conversation to a degree. So he's a man of the people, Gabe Kapler.
That's right. Or, I mean, could you imagine what people would say about our shows? We both have kids, let alone other kids hearing about what we say.
Oh, no, I know. I've had people say, have your kids ever listened to the show? God, no. God, no way. Oh, man, just crazy. Anyway, so as many people know who follow the show, I have, despite the fact that I work in technology, I have a bit of a technophobia thing going on, mainly around like privacy and like, I don't know, like AI, stuff like that. That's the kind of shit that freaks me out. Were you going to say something?
I want to know why.
Why do I fear it?
Yeah, what?
You've heard the show, haven't you?
Yeah, but where does it come from?
Well, the privacy thing is, I mean, that's something everybody should be concerned with,
Sure.
Because that's stuff that can mess up your finances. That's stuff that it's like we've talked about before, and why I don't get into too many specifics on like my family or my job or anything like that. Speak a little more generally, just because I don't want those things to be in the spotlight. So in that sense, the privacy is important. The AI stuff is real freaky deaky because that's where, that's like getting into Terminator shit. That's like where the computers are starting to do their own thing. I mean, there's all those stories about like how computers are like figuring out how to talk to each other in a way that humans can't understand. That's a problem.
Okay, fair.
Like we need to know what these idiots are saying, because all of a sudden they're going to change shit on us and then we're screwed. So yes, you could look at it as a kind of a tinfoil hatty conspiracy theory kind of thing. But I mean, a lot of people are saying it. Like Elon Musk, the guy, the Tesla guy, he talks about it every week.
Yeah.
We should fear this. This is going to be a problem. We're going to have an issue with AI in the future, and it's not too far off. So this shit just makes me nervous.
And I could see that. But I do like the technology stuff. So some of the stuff that you've mentioned, you feared, like self-driving cars and those kinds of things. I look forward to that stuff. I'm real interested in that.
Until one of them drives you into a lake because it has bad GPS and it throws you, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I worry about, is that it's going to screw that up.
You've never driven with my father then.
Oh, true. It will help many people. But as far as myself goes, yes. And the other thing, too, is it's like with autonomous driving, it's like the only reason that I would want it is if I could, like, sleep or, like, have my car pick me up when I'm drunk. And neither of those things are capable because you have to be alert and ready. So why do I need the autonomous driving then? If I'm already there and have to pay attention, I might as well just be driving.
Well, why do you need to be alert and ready? See, that's what I want. I want the car that just picks me up and away I go and I don't have to think about it.
Then now that makes more sense.
Okay.
No, if you get to a point where it's like, hey, instead of having to call an Uber, I just like hit my car thing because I went to a bar and had 6 pints and it comes and picks me up and takes me home, great. But at this point, and for the near future, that's not what it is. You have to have readiness. Like, you have to be, and I think they even have rules with some of those cars where if they can sense that your eyes are down, there are sensors in some of these cars. If they sense your eyes are down too long, they'll give you a warning, and then they'll pull over and turn the car off.
Well, what good is that?
Well, exactly. But then why are you driving then? I'll just drive.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no benefit to that.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay.
This was leading into another conversation. So this is an article I found on the New York Times called Amazon's Latest Way into Your Life is Through the Front Door, which might as well be played with dun 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 music. For many online shoppers, packages often linger for distressingly long hours outside their homes, where they can be stolen or soaked by rain. Now, if customers give it permission, Amazon's couriers will unlock the front doors and drop packages inside when no one is home. Oh, no.
So you don't like this either?
I don't like this. Well, here we go. People really give zero shits about privacy and security. They're like, hey, you know what? It's just going to make it easier. Just go inside. It's fine. No, don't come in my house. I don't like that idea at all. You like that idea?
I love that idea. I mean, well, for starters, it's not like they're coming into your house and making a plate of nachos and watching the game on your TV. They're literally opening the door, putting a package inside, and then locking it and leaving. And as I think the article mentioned too, I mean, you install a camera, so if anybody was up to anything, you would see it right away. Mm-hmm. But for someone like me, I own a small business, and a lot of what we do is in-home servicing. And I have a ton of clients. Now, keep in mind, I do live in Canada, so it might be a little different up here, but I have a ton of clients where, you know, they can't be home because either they're working or they have appointments, but they need to get the stuff done. And so they'll leave keys in their mailbox, or they'll send me an email saying this is the code to the front door, etc. I do this all the time, and I'm not just in and out dropping off a package. I'm in their home for several hours.
Right.
So I love this idea. If there was a system where they had a coded lock, and I don't know why they couldn't do this, and maybe they're on their way, but you could punch in a code, and then once that code's used that one time that they gave specifically for me, then it gets deleted once the door's locked again, and then no one else could use it. So, you know, I couldn't transfer it to someone else to go break in later that night or something. But I love this idea. This would help me in my industry quite a bit.
Okay, I don't know. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Having contractors in your house doing work, totally understandable. That's a regular thing. So just being able to let them in, you're saying, is that. But the reason I look at it just slightly differently, because for instance, we have a gal who comes and cleans our house every other week, right?
Okay.
She's got a key to the house. We make sure we don't turn the alarm on when she's coming. Although we goofed on that once when we were in Italy and the police came.
Oh,
so
no.
That wasn't so good.
Okay.
But anyway, we know her, we trust her, etc. So we know she's just going to come and do her job and leave. In this case, I think it just freaks me out a little bit because it's like couriers. It's not like somebody you meet and know and it comes to your house every week and does something or whatever, or that you let in the house and met for a project and you know they're working on this project in your house. It's just this random like delivery driver. And that kind of makes me a little more concerned.
What do you have against delivery drivers, Matt?
There's nothing against delivery drivers, but I don't know them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've never met them. Maybe that's what it is. I need to have a meet and greet with these people before I allow them to come into my house. So this says, what could possibly go wrong? The head spins with opportunities for mischief and letting a stranger into an empty home. There are risks for couriers too, whether it's an attacking dog or an escaping cat. Not that an escaping cat is a risk. To allay these concerns, Amazon is asking customers to trust it. Buy a package of technology, including an internet-connected smart lock and an indoor security cam. E-commerce companies have experimented with ways of making deliveries more secure for years. Amazon installs self-service lockers in office buildings. Okay, that's fine. That's in an office building. And outside supermarkets where customers can fetch their orders. And Daimler and other car makers have tested the delivery of goods from Amazon and other retailers to your trunk. Again, still sort of protected there. You just have an empty trunk. Somebody can get in and put something in your trunk. That's fine. Not a big deal. It's having access to your entire house, which makes me a little bit nervous.
So what do you think they would do? What do you think this, like a UPS courier who's hired and is of the responsibility of his company, what do you think that gentleman is going to do in your home?
I think the possibilities are endless, Chris. I think what's going to happen is he's probably going to come in and take his pants off, and he's going to rub his bare ass all over my couch. He's going to try on my underwear or my wife's. He's going to try. It's going to be like a three bears and Goldilocks or whatever it is scenario. He's going to be trying all the food in the house. That's what's going to happen. Now, I know what you're saying. They're trusted people because they work for this company and they have a responsibility to that company. It still just freaks me out a little bit. They're coming into my house unmonitored. Even though, yes, you have a camera, but they're still there by themselves for, I don't know. That just freaks me out. Maybe it's just me being paranoid. It's probably that.
Well, as long as you don't have a mail slot they can jerk off into, I think you'd be fine.
See? People are fucking crazy. See, that was a delivery guy, wasn't it?
I can't remember. Or a postal guy, wasn't it?
It was a postal worker who was basically fucking a door.
Yeah, but it's one guy out of millions.
Well, my odds, I'd get that guy.
Okay.
He'd jerk off all over my sofa. Amazon's new service, Amazon Key, will require customers to buy a kit that starts at $250. This shit ain't cheap, and includes a security camera made by the company and a smart door lock made by Yale or Kwikset. When a delivery comes to a customer's door, the lock first helps Amazon verify the driver is at the correct address. Cool. And at the appropriate time. It then starts recording video, unlocks the door, and captures the entire visit. So that speaks to your reassurance that no foul play will happen because they're being recorded the entire time and the whole thing's being logged.
Right.
Still makes me nervous.
Well, I'm not saying nothing could ever happen because crazy shit happens all the time. But the odds that it happening to you are very, very slim. And again, at the worst, let's say he did all those things that you just listed. He completely ransacked your home. It's not anything you couldn't recover from.
There's retribution through the company, I suppose, but still, I don't know. Amazon says it will guarantee protection for customers in the event a driver damages or steals something inside the home.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's sentimental value? How are you going to get that back?
Oh, fair. Okay.
It suggests homeowners keep pets away from the front doors when deliveries are expected. If drivers can't safely make deliveries, they'll leave packages outside. That pet thing is going to get out of hand because people are going to forget, and a driver's going to come in, and some fucking dog's going to come over and want to bite the guy's arm off, and it's going to be lawsuits. I see that happening.
Okay.
You could make the same argument for postal carriers, but in this case, the dog's outside. The dog's inside, minding his own, and then in comes the driver, and they're like, "What the fuck? Who is this guy?" Because you can't exactly explain that to your dog on the way out in the morning. Hey, Rex, there's a guy coming by between 10 and 11. It's cool. He's got a brown suit on. Don't worry about it. The company said Amazon Key will be available in 37 cities in the U.S. starting November 8th. That's tomorrow.
All right.
And open to its Prime members who pay $99 a year for fast shipping and other benefits. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, you're going to have access to this. The system can also be used to grant home access to other services such as Merry Maids, a house cleaning provider, and Rover.com, a dog walking site. So there you go.
So that solves your... See, now you just need to line up the dog walking service with the delivery package service, and you're good to go.
You need to have the dog walking service come in before the delivery is package because then they're delivering it while the dogs are gone.
Right.
Oh, that's tough. You got to time all that. It's a big sync job. You had a career that still amazes me. Well, I guess it was a short period of time where you went to school to become a air traffic controller.
That's correct.
And I want to know, because I can't remember how far you got. And to me, by the way, this has got to be top 3 most stressful jobs in the world, if not number 1. But how long did you go through the entire schooling and actually start, or did you jump, get out before that happened, before you actually took a career in it?
I I made it. So it was a 2-year process. Of that 2-year process, I was 2 weeks shy of completing. So it was extra bitter. What's that?
Cold feet right at the end?
No, I was actually, what ended up happening is I had a few terrible incidents happen where a few pilots didn't listen to me. And it is the most stressful job in the world. Or, again, it's up there. It usually is number one year after year. But the job's all about confidence. It's probably a lot like being a professional athlete in that you have to believe and know that you're the best and that you can do it each and every time without question, without fail. And when you have pilots that don't listen to your commands, so like as an example, I had issued an altitude to an airplane and they read back what I said, but they went up an extra 20,000 feet than they were supposed to and blew through it and cut across within 3 miles of another airplane. So we're talking about a total of 320 people who could have died right in front of my face just from someone making an error. And so when that happens, you go through this whole tribunal process, which is like a big hearing, and you go in front of a board and you have a representative. And again, I'm just a student at this point. I'm not even a licensed controller.
And you had to go through that whole thing?
Oh, absolutely. So you have to report to your superiors, then you have to go to the board and you have a big hearing and it's a whole process. And unfortunately for me, these two things happen back to back. Now I was absolved of responsibility, which is great, but being, just fresh in the program and being a student, it killed my confidence. And so I started second guessing a lot of moves and trying to listen to what people were saying. And then one of the last things that happened is I spoke to a young man that came over the radio, and he was not an aircraft that was under my control, but his father had a heart attack. And I was the last person he talked to, and the plane went down and he passed as well in the crash. And just,
oh my God.
Right. And so those things combined, it was just a terrible few weeks. And, it was one of the lowest points that I can think of for me personally. But basically what happens is I lost my confidence and then I started making a lot of errors, and they do what's called a cease train. So, they give you this 2-week period to sort of come around. And I just didn't, being honest, I failed at the job at the highest level just, weeks before I was doing what they call a checkout ride, where you graduate and get your license. And so that's what happened. No, I didn't quit and get out. They told me I had to leave.
Well, and sorry, because it's obviously tough memories, but in that instance you just described, so you're saying like the guy, the dad was the pilot?
Yes.
Had a heart attack and the son didn't know how to fly?
Correct. Well, and it wasn't even that he didn't know how to fly and he was on the radio and we were back and forth. I think he kind of grabbed the radio and then contacted and then lost contact right away because the plane went down.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I could see how that would... Let's just say I'm glad that they took you out of that spot, because that would have just fucked you up for a long while.
Yeah, so, and as hard as it was, I will say this, and I'm sorry if I'm bringing the show down. I feel
No, that's okay. We'll bring it back up in just a second. I'm going to make fun of airlines in just a second.
Nice. But, in hindsight, I think through all those things I went through, I'm glad I'm not there today. I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing, and that didn't end up being my life, because it's one of those things, when you do something stressful, you don't know it's stressful when you're in it. When you're out of it, then you're just like, oh, wow, that was really awful.
Right. I think you're just always tense, and you just grow used to being tense. I don't know, that all that just makes my skin crawl. Just thinking about people being like, you being like, you need to proceed to this altitude, and people being like, no, I'm not. I'm like, God damn it, yes you are, you fucker.
Listen to me. The last thing I'll say about it is because people ask me all the time, was it as stressful as they say it is? And the best way to describe it is, I don't care what job you have. I don't care if you make pizzas or if you are a lawyer arguing cases or you're a doctor, whatever. Imagine doing what you do every day and have a person sit 2 feet behind you and go like this. Should you be doing that? No. Is there a better way to do that? Okay, well, that worked. Do you have what if that didn't work? Do you have another way you could do that? Did he read that back to you? Was that the right thing? Did he say 2 or did he say 3? And do that for 8 hours a day. that's what your 2 years of training is like. And then there's a reason for it. I mean,
of course, they want you to be battle tested. I get it.
Absolutely.
But good God, that would be so annoying.
And there are incidences, and I'm not that guy, and it's probably one reason why I got into the program, but there are incidences of students turning around and clocking the trainer behind them because they just can't take it anymore.
Yeah, that's funny. I just, well, not to mention you can't do that job, from in your sweats from home. So it's immediately out for me.
Right.
Can I do this remotely over Skype? No, you can't do that.
But I will say this, if the American system and the Canadian system, very, very different training systems. So there might be your fellow Americans listening to this going, that's not how it is at all. But they're very different systems in how guys get trained.
So essentially you're saying sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, do you enjoy flying? But after hearing all those tales, I don't know that you do much because you know how close disaster lurks.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, so cause like for me, when it comes to flying, it's, the best thing is just an uneventful flight, right? It's easy. There's no incidents, especially when you got kids in tow. You're just trying to get through the flight. You don't want to bother anybody. You don't want to have anybody have some meltdown or something like that. So for me, that's kind of what it's about. But Southwest Airlines is trying to ruin our lives. This is from Vice.com, titled, Southwest Airlines will regularly inflict live music on trapped passengers.
This is not good.
These days, taking a flight comes at the risk of enduring a few hours of absolute hell, where terrible smells, exploding phones, and violent yogis are liable to turn your trip into a walking nightmare, which is a little dramatic. As if air travel isn't miserable enough already, passengers aboard a few selected Southwest Airlines flights will now be subjected to live concerts, which at 35,000 feet above Earth, they'll be powerless to escape. According to Billboard, Southwest will continue to bring a slate of musicians on board with its, quote, Live at 35 concert series through an ongoing partnership with Warner Music Nashville, which supplies talent from its mostly pop country roster of artists. This is your living hell.
It is. And there is no faster way for me to become that doctor getting dragged off an airplane than this exact scenario. This is not good.
This is a terrible idea. Without warning, planes full of lucky passengers who are just trying to sleep or watch a movie without headphones or whatever will suddenly see a band set up a few mics, whip out the guitars, and start shredding. By the way, this goes against every, airline security measure of all time. They don't even want you standing in the goddamn aisle for 5 seconds, let alone having people up there with mics playing music? How does this get passed?
I don't know.
I don't get it. With the partnership with Warner Music Nashville, your favorite part, we're excited to continue to offer new music experiences to our customers and provide WMN artists and fans our friendly and reliable customer service, complete with our promise that bags and guitars fly free, says the VP of Southwest Airlines. It says a few souls on a flight from Nashville to Philly recently found themselves the unwilling audience at a Devin Dawson show. I'm sure you're familiar.
Love him.
A singer-songwriter who, according to his Facebook page, is an edgy study in contrast, poised as the next bolt of lightning to hit country's family tree. Holy shit.
Well, I hope a bolt of lightning hits country's family tree.
And I think if you're on that plane, you might be hoping for the same thing.
You're right.
On this particular journey, that bolt of lightning came rocketing toward a plane full of paying passengers' ears, whether they liked it or not. Southwest isn't revealing... This is the most amazing part. Southwest is not revealing which trips will feature the in-flight assault on their senses, so there's no way to guarantee your next voyage won't be interrupted by some dude covering Wonderwall and sending every baby on board into a fit.
So how much money is Warner Music paying these airlines to make this fly? Because the fact that you can't find out about it, that to me, that's the kicker. There's a lot of dollars flying around to make this work.
That is so ridiculous because at a minimum, you should be getting either you're paying more if they think that that's worth it or you're paying less to be on this flight. And it should be noted in advance because you should have an idea of what you're getting into before you get on that goddamn plane.
Absolutely.
I mean, you get on there and see a guy pulling his harmonica out. You're going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Do you have another flight? I'll take a seat in the back, please.
See, I read this article and I started getting worked up immediately. Just thinking of all the scenarios and how it would play out and just how pissed off I would be being stuck in there. But then the switch flipped. And I said, all right, you know what? I am stuck in there. But you know what? He or her is stuck in there as well. And what's to stop the crowd from turning on the artist and heckling the shit out of them through the whole flight?
They'll probably pull some bullshit on you and be like, "Sir, you're being disruptive. We're going to land the plane and kick you off." Then it becomes an airline security issue when you're booing and jeering at the guy. But he can do whatever he wants.
But I still get what I want, and the plane lands and it's over.
That's true.
So
you
it's
get off. Yeah, that's true. To some extent, to some, the element of chance behind Live at 35 might be like playing the lottery. For others, it may seem like Russian roulette. So, have you ever flown on Southwest Airlines?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. It's a weird goofball airline because, they're big, bags fly free, so you get your bags for free. But they have a whole system, and I think you probably are aware of this, where based on when you check in, you're checked into a zone. So it's like, oh, you're in zone 1. That means you line up in a queue for zone 1, and when they open the door, zone 1 goes in and you pick whatever seat you want.
Oh, okay.
Then zone 2 gets to pick what's left. Then zone 3 gets to pick what's left. So if you sign in late or check in late, you're getting middle seats and shit. So you don't get seat assignments in advance. It's just like first come, first serve, which is kind of stupid and goofy. But they also, I remember, and they're always kind of dumb because like I've been on flights where like they're coming in for landing. They land and, you hit that big rush and the brakes or whatever, reverse, whatever the fuck. And the guy comes on the PA and is going, "Whoa, big fella." I'm like, what? Get your fucking hands on the stick and do not play jokes. I don't care if that's like not the guy landing the plane. I don't need somebody saying, "Whoa, big fella" to me when I'm trying to land an airplane. But also another time I went down to like Arizona or LA or somewhere. I can't remember what it was. It was during the holidays and I'm tired as shit and I fall asleep and I wake up. You know what they're doing? Karaoke Christmas songs.
No.
Over the PA. All the kids getting up, adults getting up, all getting up and singing. Next, we're going to have, Julie from Santa Monica. Here you go, Julie. And she's singing Jingle Bells. I'm like, what? I didn't fucking sign up for this shit. I mean, it's bad enough you got to deal with somebody like farting a row over and a crying baby behind you and all that stuff. But this is sick and twisted. I don't like this at all.
I don't know how anybody thinks that this is a good idea.
It's a terrible idea.
Again, it has to boil down to money. I mean, okay, here in Canada, for the longest time, we only had one airline, Air Canada. That was the only way to get around the country. There's been others, little subsidiary airlines that have popped up here and there, but none of them have failed. So, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, this airline, WestJet, popped up. And they did a lot of that kind of stuff. So if you went on them, because Air Canada, knowing that they had a monopoly, on air travel, they just had no service and no personality whatsoever. Because what else were you going to do? Right? You're stuck here. But this WestJet pops up, and then all of a sudden, their flight attendants are telling jokes, and they're trying to live up the whole, and the mask will drop down, and I hope you know how to swim, ha ha ha, that kind of stuff. Right. And I hated that, so I can't imagine the stuff that you're talking about. I mean, what would you do if that country artist came on?
Oh God, I mean, I think you just have to put on your earbuds and jam your tunes up to 11. Like I don't think there's anything else you can do. I mean, what you can't boo them, you can't get them down, or you can give them dirty looks.
Right.
But there's gonna be people on there that absolutely love it, and they're gonna be clapping, and shit's gonna happen, and you're just gonna have to get through it. The biggest thing I can hope for, and I don't know what their protocol is around this, but is that it's like the Nashville to Cincinnati flight or something. Like it's a short flight, not cross-country flight. If you get stuck on a cross-country flight with a fucking band, oh my God, that's the worst. Or if you're going to do that series, then every like 100th time should be like fucking Pearl Jam or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like there should be a chance that it's a huge artist. Because otherwise, I don't want to hear a bunch of fucking scrubs,
You're not down with the Jim 10-gallon hat from the Stars and Stripes tour, sponsored by Coors Light?
Exactly. Like a fucking, line straight from the Grand Ole Opry coming in. I don't need it. So all of this seems like a bad idea. It's just another reason to not fly Southwest. We completely lost our Southwest Airlines sponsorship today.
We'll get some good artists, goddammit, and we'll come back.
Yeah, that's true. You get some good artists and we might be on board. There's an article or like a segment on Vice.com that we cover regularly. It's by this gal named Anna Goldfarb. I finally got her name. Thanks, Anna, for all the material. And it's something in 6 words. So in this case, it's most irrational thing you hate in 6 words. So she asked these people to describe the most irrational thing they hate, and they can only use 6 words to do it. And some of these are pretty fucking funny. So I'm going to run through some of these. Jennifer Lawrence's round face and career. Camilla, 33.
Wow.
Just hates Jennifer Lawrence. Sounds jealous, right?
Yes.
And then along the same lines, Brittany, spelled Britni.
That's not how you spell it?
No.
Brittany?
Brittany. She's 32. She says, Gwyneth Paltrow and her smug face. Yeah, fuck off, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, I'm down with that one. Take your stupid avocados and your fresh whatever the fuck it is and get out of here.
It's no wonder Chris, whatever the fuck, left her.
You're right.
What is that guy's name?
Chris Martin.
What is his last name?
Chris Martin.
Martin. Thank you. I forgot his name. JR, 30, says...
He's on that Southwest flight.
Exactly. You know he is. He says, tiny legs, big ears, stupid corgis. I am 100% behind JR in this stance. I fucking hate corgis. Do you like corgis?
I don't think I've ever met one. Really?
You know what they look like, yeah? Being a man who's part of the Commonwealth who, pledges loyalty to the Queen, those are her dogs. She has corgis.
Whoa. Your history's a little dodgy here, sir.
I know. I just wanted to get you with that because I think you made a comment about royalty the other day on Twitter. But no, these things are like fucking spare parts dogs. They got little teeny legs. They got these big fat bodies. They got huge tall ears. They have like a nub of a tail. They're the stupidest looking dogs you've ever seen. And for some reason, people like them. I don't get it. You're looking it up.
I'm trying to look one up right now.
Corgi, Corgi.
What the fuck? It's like
right?
It's like a rat with like a Dashin body. Like, I don't even know what that is.
I'm telling you, spare parts. There is no rhyme or reason why a dog should have all those parts mixed together. It's like something went wrong at the factory.
Yes. No, I'm with you now. Are these irrational fears or just things that people irrationally hate?
Irrationally hate.
Okay.
But in this case, quite rational to hate corgis. Now, these two go hand in hand, so I'm going to mention them both. Shauna, 34, filling up the Brita water pitcher, and Catherine, 28, changing the toilet paper roll. So these are like household choresy type items, which I get. I think there are some that are worse. Do you have any of those things that are just minor, stupid little things around the house that you do that just drive you nuts? Because I've got two that drive me nuts all the time. One is I hate having to refill the dish soap container that connects to our sink because you have to like get in under the sink and you have to squirt that shit. I hate that. It's so dumb. But whenever that thing runs out when I'm trying to do that dishes or whatever, I'm like, oh. And the other thing I hate, and this is really dumb, is when you're carrying your laundry downstairs and you keep dropping a fucking item. I hate it. Like you could say, well, why don't you use a laundry basket? Well, I'm not that fancy, but I'll carry the shit in my hands, and inevitably you'll drop a sock, you'll drop a piece of underwear or something like that, and you fucking keep picking it up. I hate those two things.
Why don't you just move your laundry room upstairs?
Well, that would require quite a lot of funds, Chris. It's funny. The place we rented before we moved into this place, the laundry room was connected to our master bathroom, which connected to the master bedroom. It's fucking dream world.
Nice.
Because you could just, granted, it could be noisy, although there were a couple doors that kind of kept it from it if you were running laundry late, but it was so great. You just had all your shit right there, but now we've got it downstairs. It's not even close.
Right. Well, I can think of one thing right off the top of my head that I hate doing, and we have one of those water filters. You buy the bottled water, and you put it in the thing, and water for everybody. Yay. It has a pump in it, and so the water bottle sits on the bottom, and when the water bottle runs out, much like an alarm clock, it makes this beeping noise. And so you always know you're the last one and you got to change the damn thing. Is it beep, beep, beep? And so when you open up the door, the way it feeds it, because it's down in the bottom, it never takes all the water. So there's always like an inch of water in there. And my wife's always like, well, save that water. You can't throw it out. So now I've got to take that out, and then I've got to go to the closet and grab another big, 10-gallon thing, put it in there, and then they're always filled too high because you have to insert this rod into it, and then the water spills out, so you need to like hold the button down so it'll the pump will kick in again and suck some of the water out. And then I always have to clean up the floor after. It's a 10-minute process just to change a goddamn water bottle. I hate that thing.
Now, when you do it and it beeps, do you ever just walk away and go, I'm just going to act like it didn't beep for me? And when Kristen comes, she's going to get nailed.
I go one better. If you open the door, the beeping stops. So sometimes I'll just like finger width open the door and just kind of saunter away and then leave it for the next guy.
Nice. Oh, man. Catherine, 28, restarting the microwave timer.
Oh, jeez.
So now my dad used to live with us for a short time, and he would do this thing where like he'd be heating up his coffee.
Yeah.
And he'd put his coffee in, and he'd be like, 25, beep, beep, and he'd always have to do like power level 70 or something, like never just do 100% because God forbid. So do beep, 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 start, goes 20 seconds, stops, pulls it out. Oh, no, it's not hot enough. Puts it back in. 15 seconds. Power level. Beep, beep, beep. Does this whole process. And it's like, would you just put it in for 5 fucking minutes at whatever you want and just keep opening it and checking it? You don't need to reset the whole thing every time. So I totally understand this, Catherine. So next is Megan, 30, says, wet paper is my worst nightmare. That sounds like an OCD thing.
Right.
She just can't stand wet paper.
Wet paper from what?
I think anything. I think anytime paper gets wet, she's just, it's ruined. It's over.
I'm still trying to imagine a scenario like her paper out on the step and it rains, or
Right. It could be the newspaper. It could be like you had a piece of paper on the table and you were writing something and a little water got on it. It could be anything. But for me, it sounds like any paper that gets any sort of moisture on it. She's just like, it's over. It's fucking
just
over.
I'm not writing this paper anymore. I'm out of here.
I'm done. Nora, 31. This is in all caps, so I'll try to sort of yell. Umbrellas! Use raincoats, you pointy fucks!
Well, that doesn't help their heads.
Well, what if you use raincoats? You can put the thing over your head.
Oh, the hood, I guess. Okay.
The hood. And funny because I'm from Portland, and we're notorious for not using umbrellas.
Oh, okay.
Even though it rains here quite a bit. For 2 reasons. One, I think people just get used to it. But 2 is that a lot of times it's just like a drizzle. It's a lighter rain.
Okay.
So it's not like it's like I don't want to arse myself by getting the umbrella out because it's not like a downpour. So you get what I describe as kind of the Northwest face, which is like people will be walking down the street and they just have this look like this, like nobody can see this, of course, because it's a podcast, but it's like this. It's like, it's like they're slightly closing their eyes and it's just beating them in the forehead, but they just like march on. It's such a weird phenomenon here that people just don't. I'm not doing umbrellas. No umbrellas.
Yeah. Well, I live close to Vancouver, which is much the same sort of climate as what you guys experience. So I've seen that face. But for me, umbrella, that's just shit I'm going to lose. I'm gonna bring it. True. I'll probably forget it in the van, or I would leave it at work or at the restaurant or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just more shit to carry. And if you have kids like we do, you already know how much shit you have with you. An umbrella is just one more thing that I don't need.
Maybe they need to make pants with a holster for your umbrella.
There you go. Or maybe on the back, like you carry a shotgun style.
Yeah, right. Like a bow and arrow.
There you go.
Pull that shit out. Lauren, 33, everything Katy Perry does and says. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I think that sounds right. Totally rational.
If we could just look at Katy Perry, I think we'd be all right.
Well, now she's changed her look. She looks all goofy now.
Oh, no.
Rachel, 28, says, people walking in the bike lane. Hey, Rachel, counterpoint. Bikes that want you to treat them like cars that don't stop at stop signs. How about them? You fuckers.
Oh, yeah. We have tons of bike lanes here. There are bikers everywhere. And I hate the fact that the bikers are the first ones to get mad at all the traffic and everything that goes by. And it doesn't matter if you're observing the rules or not. You're going to do something wrong in the eyes of the biker. Yet they're free to just red light. They'll go right through. They'll turn left. They don't care. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Share the road. It's like, well, yeah, but you know what, you motherfuckers? You're not playing by the rules.
That's right.
I'll treat you like a car if you want, but you need to be treated like, you need to act like a car yourself. It drives me nuts.
Ugh.
We have so many cyclists here because we got bike lanes everywhere as well. Charlotte, 38, says, nothing more useless than flying kites. I love this one.
She just doesn't like to have any fun.
No, but I mean, it's a pretty odd hobby, flying kites, because I don't know when's the last time you did, but it seems like it's always, typically it's like at the beach because you get a lot of wind.
I have never seen someone fly a kite at the beach in my life.
No? Oh, we have that big time at the Oregon coast.
Really?
Oh, there's a big kite community there.
Well, I live between two lakes, so I'm at the beach all the time. I have never. We have kite surfers. Like on a windy day, you'll have those guys that go on the surfboards and the kite. Tons of those guys. But I have never seen a kite at the beach. Maybe at the park, off in the grassy area.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. I mean, there's like our beaches are filled with people, and someone's trying to control a kite and kicking sand everywhere, and people. No, that just wouldn't fly.
That's that wouldn't fly. There you go. That's the thing though. Is it's like. I feel like you spend so much time. I'm in no way an avid kite flyer, so I just probably suck at it. But it takes so much time to get the damn thing in the air.
Okay.
Then you get it in the air, and it's just there. It's like, well, then what do you just tie it to a fucking log and walk away, and or some kid comes up and inevitably wants to play with it, and they're gonna crash that sucker. Right. So it's like a nerve-wracking hobby. I don't like it. I think that she's dead on. I agree with you, Charlotte.
Okay. Well, I think Charlotte has some good points, but I have kids and. Like you can take my youngest one and for them to hold a kite, I mean, it might be a whole 20-minute affair all in, but, it's fun for them. I can't say that I've ever said, not really busy right now. I should go fly a kite. I
mean, there is a reason there's an expression where people just say, go fly a kite.
Right.
They're just telling you to fuck off. So it shouldn't be a fun thing. Mike 34 says, car commercials with no city traffic. He demands realism in his commercials.
He's obviously never had to pay for extras. He's never worked the budget of a commercial.
I don't think so. Not to mention, I mean, do you really want to see how it's performing on the mean streets, or do you want to get a good look at the car driving around? I mean, let's get real.
I think that's just a guy who's probably stoned watching too much TV.
Yeah, you know what? You never see other cars.
You're right. That's bullshit, man.
Exactly. Alicia 29 says, taking showers like a regular human. What the fuck does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
I got nothing.
This is the most irrational things you hate. She hates taking showers like a regular human. I don't understand what that means.
Well, what give me an example of taking a shower like an irregular human. What would that look like?
I don't know. I don't know what that means. I feel like she should have been given an extra 10 words to provide context for that statement, because the 6 words is not doing it. Amanda, 30, sticking a hand between mattress and box spring. That is very specific.
So is this happening while maybe she's getting after it with her boy or her man, and then he's got this thing where he's got to shove his hand in between, and she's like, this again?
I don't know if it's that. The only 2 things I could come up with, one is does it create some sort of like vision or feeling in your mind like you're sticking your hand between 2 butt cheeks or something? Or was she a housekeeper and it's like PTSD?
Oh, maybe.
She's just like, she can't stand to make the bed. God damn it, I want to put my hands in there. That's like her excuse to her husband. I can't make the bed. That freaks me out.
Right. If I have to do this one goddamn more time, I'm going to lose it.
Right. Okay, Amanda, I'll make the goddamn bed. Go take a shower like a regular human. Tamara, 33, the sound of people sneezing, hideous. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, if they're sneezing on me, yeah, no, I don't like that at all.
But I mean, like, just the sound. So, do you have an issue with the way certain people sneeze? Because I think that there are certain sneeze types that are more grotesque than others.
I hate the loud sneeze. The overly loud sneeze. There are some people who just sneeze so loud it's completely unnecessary. You gotta sneeze. But I mean, we can all kind of do a little into our shoulder or our arm. But there are people that feel that they need to move the earth when they sneeze. It's just completely unnecessary. So I'm with that one a little bit.
Well, 2 things. One, sorry, Dad, because that's what my dad does. Like when he was living with us down in the basement, you could hear him on the top floor. Wahoo! Like just screaming, sneezing. But the one you just described is the one that makes me the most disgusted. And I don't think you necessarily meant to do it the way you did. Maybe you did. But there's people I've seen who sneeze, and it's almost like they're holding it back.
Okay.
and they'll go, and it's like they're plugging their nose and keeping it from coming out. It's like, oh no, like what did you just do? Like you probably like hurt yourself and have a headache now. But it sounds so disgusting. It's like just go chew, whatever, and blow it out, and you're fine.
Yeah, don't make it so nasally and internal and pop.
Or like you'll get like there's like a girl that I used to know in high school, and she'd go, Astu. Like, what the fuck? Are you like an animal? I didn't understand that at all. Do you have the thing where you have like a certain number of sneezes? Some people have that thing where like a buddy of mine, when he sneezes, 5 times. Every time.
Without fail.
Without fail, always 5 times.
No, my sneezing's pretty involuntary. It's going to be what it's going to. It's a crapshoot every time.
My wife, twice every time. So
Okay.
when she sneezes, she'll sneeze and I'll say bless, and then she'll sneeze again and I'll say you. Because I know there's a second one coming.
But if she does 3, do you play the lottery, or does it ever happen?
No, I just say I love you after that. Haley, 32, strings, goo, and bruises on bananas. Now I can see that.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either.
Because a mush banana, no dice. I just certainly go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I saw this thing on Facebook where they were showing it what a ripe banana actually looks like. You're not supposed to eat them when they're nice and yellow. They're supposed to be a little. No, fuck
Right.
that.
No way.
No, I like the nice yellow banana.
Yeah, I'll toss that shit in the garbage if it's starting to get brown like that. I mean, the thing is for me, I mean when it's not ripe and then it's hard as a rock, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that money zone where it's just sort of firm, but just like tastes fresh, and that's what you want. I don't want to wait until it's bruised.
No.
Well, kind of in the same vein, Mackenzie 36 says the sound of teeth meeting apple.
Oh, that sound.
Just the crunch, the crunch.
Right.
I experienced this just a few days ago when I took my car in to get some service done on it, and I actually tweeted about it at the moment. So hopefully she wasn't following me on Twitter because she was sitting right next to me. This woman was devouring an apple next to me. Just because it's the initial crunch and then the chew and the chew and the chew, and then she's like slurping coffee in between. It was so disgusting. And it's like I don't. It's one of those things where typically I cut up an apple. That helps a little bit.
So do I. Yeah.
But it's a hard thing to disguise. Like if you're gonna eat an apple, people are just gonna hear it. Like there's only so much you can do. But in this case, I feel like people really get after it sometimes, and it makes my skin crawl.
Well, how do you feel about mouth noises in general? Like people who chew with their mouth open, and
that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, chewing with your mouth open is a definite problem, or talking with your mouth full of food. I mean, these are things that, of course, I'm correcting my children on. But we used to have people that I worked with that were like that they'd be like eating their cereal during our morning meeting and talking with their mouth full of, I mean, you could almost see the like milk hovering in the bottom of their mouth while they're talking. It's like, God damn it. Like, who didn't teach you this? Swallow, then speak.
Well, what's funny is I told Kristen the one line that, irrational fears that you hate. And she didn't say anything, but I could see her counting and, putting up her fingers as she was, trying to figure out the words. And it basically came out to something like listening to Chris eat popcorn.
Popcorn is not 2 words.
Fair enough.
She could put an expletive on the end of that or in front of it. Listening to Chris eat fucking popcorn. Yeah, eating is tough because if people do it in certain obnoxious ways, it's hard to focus on anything else. It just takes up everything. Jackie, we got a few more of these. Jackie 28 says, "Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. Ugh."
I'm with her.
It's such a sing-along, though, Chris.
Oh, I did. We had talked about Neil Diamond earlier on the other show, but yeah,
yes.
no, I
wait a few weeks for that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, there's a song that's overplayed.
Sure.
I would say that once your song makes it to Glee, you've hit a danger zone of being overplayed.
Do you hate Journey in general, or just that song because it's so overplayed?
That song because it's so overplayed.
Okay. Because, I mean, Journey was very much a love song 80s band, and so you have to take that into account. But in general, that song was abused.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah, it is. Annie, 22, mayonnaise. It's like semen, but worse.
Well, she knows the difference. So,
Well, it's funny because I remember being in like 7th grade or 8th grade or something, and some girl asking us, "Does it taste like does it taste like mayonnaise?" And I was like, "How the fuck am I supposed to know?" I don't blow myself. I mean, I would if I could, but it's not happening. I don't like squirt onto a sandwich and be like, you know what, this sandwich is a little dry.
so you no pun intended, but you blew it.
Right.
You should have said yes. Yes, it does.
Yes. Do you like mayonnaise? It does taste like mayonnaise. Actually, it tastes like ice cream. Would you like a scoop? It's more of a soft serve, really. Yeah, it seems like mayonnaise is a very divisive condiment because people either are cool with it or they just fucking hate it. And I know a lot of people that are that way. Like Scott, my old co-host.
Right.
He used to call it, I think he called it was like the devil's seed, I think is what he used to refer to it as. He said it was so disgusting. I've got my buddy Josh, his wife, just absolutely just thinks it's the most atrocious thing on earth. So some people, I think it's the consistency of it or something they just don't like. But for me, I mean, I like it on a sandwich. I got no problems with mayonnaise.
I'm good. You can have too much mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah, you can.
I don't know if I've ever met anyone that loves mayonnaise. Like it's all about the mayonnaise. But I like a little bit, and I'm good with it. So I know I got nothing. I have no problems with mayonnaise. But yeah, you can have too much.
Yeah, you can definitely have too much. Then it's just oversaturating your sandwich. Sam, 27. I can't stand open-faced sandwiches. By the way, when was the last time you had an open-faced sandwich?
Last week.
Did you?
Yeah, whenever we make roast beef around the house with the leftovers, I always cut it up and I make I have this little recipe of my own that I make up, and we have open-faced steak sandwiches the next day.
Do you like melt a little cheese over the top?
Oh, you bet. A few peppers on there, some tomatoes. They're delicious.
Okay. So it's almost like I don't know. It almost turns it into like a bruschetta.
Yes. Yep.
Well, so I understand that, but I think when I think of open-faced sandwiches, I always think of like an open-faced peanut butter sandwich, which open-faced peanut butter sandwich, you never had one of those?
No.
No, my brother used to eat these back in the day big time. He also used to do the thing where he'd like put like Fritos on the top of them, which is really disgusting. But anyway, the open-faced peanut butter sandwich was always a problem because they are like the cats of the sandwich world, because like cats always land on their feet. Open-faced sandwich will always land face down.
Always. I've experienced this with toast. You know, I've had buttered toast because that's what normal people might have. But sure. I guess maybe if you're just in a hurry and you just want to spread some shit on a piece of bread and eat it and go. But yeah, no, that's that's not something I have normally.
No, it's an odd one. Tara, 36. Adults who say OMG. I agree.
My wife says cray cray, and it drives me nuts.
I almost give her that more than the OMG, because the OMG is like, you never need to. Why are you saying something that takes just as long as the other thing?
Right.
You can say, oh my God. It's the same thing as saying OMG.
Same syllables.
No more syllables, yeah. So I don't understand why they do it. Not to mention just when people start using, text acronym in their actual vernacular. That's weird to me.
Well, could you imagine dropping a joke and someone going, oh, LOL?
LOL, right. No, nobody says that. Or if they do, they should be shot.
Right.
Michelle, 32, life-size cardboard cutouts. Creepy as fuck. When was the last time you had one of those around? Or do you have one of your own? Do you have like yourself?
Well, or maybe your husband works in a movie theater and he's always bringing home all the, the promo shit, sitting around the bedroom.
Thor standing behind you. Right. Yeah, I don't know. We had them as kids. Like we had like Clyde Drexler and Michael Jordan and shit, and but I don't know. Those things were always kind of weird. I think you're right. It's more like movie poster or movie cutout type things. Although I think now that I've said that, I think maybe having full size Neil and Matt's to sit for sale at the Raz store would be a good thing.
There you go. Now you're thinking.
No.
I'm just trying to picture the two poses you guys would have.
See, that's the tough one, is what pose do you finish with? Like, what do you want? Is it him bending over and me standing behind him? What is it? I don't know. Do you have to buy the matching set?
I don't know. I watched your videos on the Halos and Heathens vlogs, and I imagine you'd just be twiddling your thumbs.
Right. Oh, that's something that'll just make you feel self-conscious. Holy shit.
I couldn't imagine.
Watching that video just going, boy, I need to lose weight. Anyway, Gabriella, 28. People singing along incorrectly on purpose.
Who? What?
So people singing along to a song and purposely singing it wrong. That's her fucking beat.
My 4-year-old does this.
But like, does she do it on purpose? Oh, like kind of because she's like turning into like funky words and stuff.
She's fascinated with the words poop and pee right now. So if there's, again,
Swaps them in.
Yeah. So if there's some Taylor Swift song going on, she'll substitute words with poop and pee, and she thinks it's hilarious. But I couldn't imagine an adult doing this.
Well, maybe Gabriella is a teacher of small children, and so that's why her hate is centered on that. But that just seems funny to me. I don't know. I was going to say, is it more annoying when they're getting it wrong on accident? Like they think they're singing it correctly and you're like, no, that's not how that song goes.
You know what drives me nuts is you'll see someone, and I saw this all the time when I'd work in a bar. So you'd have a song that's fairly popular and someone would know most of the words, like especially the chorus. They've got the chorus nailed, but it would go into the verse and they'd be singing out loud and then they'd sort of hit a section that they didn't know, and then and then just belt the chorus right after.
Right. It's like the scene in Tommy Boy when they're driving down the road listening to REM, End of the World, and they're both going Leonard Bernstein or whatever. This is the last one, Sandy 38, and this is a good one to wrap up our show with, I think, because I think this came up once on. I think this may have come up once on Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, but. When other people's hair touches me. Now for me, leg hair. I don't like that shit. Guys' leg hairs touch. Oh, creepy.
I say to my own wife, I'm like, how do you touch me? I mean, I look at my own leg and arm hair sometimes, and it's, it only gets thicker and darker as you get older. And you just think, how is any of this attractive to you? And I'm not that hairy of a guy. But still. No hair.
Because it's so masculine of you to be all hairy like that. That's what it is. That's what gets her going. That's it. That's it for the 6 words. So Chris, I want to say thank you very much for filling in on short notice, mind you, for Neil this week. I really appreciate it. I've always wanted to have you on the show, so I'm glad it worked out this time. And for those wondering, by the way, Neil's crazy week of work and such and obligations caused him to miss this week, and so that's why we're having Chris on. But we'll be back to normal as much as it's normal next week. But thanks to everybody for your patience while we've kind of been having to put out all these bonus episodes and fill some gaps as we kind of iron out our new recording schedule. But Chris, I want to say thanks again and have you remind everybody about your shows and where they can find you.
Well, I just want to say thank you. This was awesome. I now know when I'm a hockey guy, so when you hear those stories about like the equipment managers having to put on the goalie pads because everyone's been hurt and they're out, I now know, I have a sense of what that feels like. So, but yeah, thank you. This was a lot of fun. I was surprised when you asked, but the opportunity to do so, I love this show. I love you guys. You guys are great. So thank you. And if you want to find me again, I do a podcast with my wife, How Was Your Week, Honey? You can find us at HWYWH on Twitter. My other show, we do a music-based podcast where we started out being an album-based podcast, but now we've forayed into all aspects of music. So if you have any interest in that at all, we're at Our Liner Notes, and you can find us on Twitter at OLinerNotes or me at Chris Maier BC.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, again, for listening. You can find us at reasonsareseveral.com. Please go out to iTunes and review and rate the show and subscribe and all that. You can tweet at us at ReasonsAre, and Neil is at AngelsFreak7, and you can also email us at reasonsareseveral@gmail.com. We'll be back next week. Thanks.